Everybody, we'll wait for everybody to get in before we start. So happy to see you. I apologize for last week. My astrology mentor, who has made it possible for me to speak at a conference tomorrow, wanted to go over my talk with me, and she just told me that morning on Sunday that she wanted to meet at 11. So that happened, and I had to cancel at the last minute. So I hope I didn't worry any of you, but that's what was happening. So so that's all prepared, and it was wonderful to have her feedback and input at a time when I could, still make changes and have it all ready in time. So that's where I was, and I'm not going to make any promises, but things look good for being here on Sundays from here on out. So, uh, so let's start with meditation. So yesterday I had the opportunity to sit in a lecture with a Buddhist Swami who, the way she ran the meditation was so different and so beautiful that I'm going to share some of it with you, because it's not different from what we do. It's just a different way of approaching it. And sometimes having a fresh perception can bring us into a different awareness. So the way she talked about it is that the Atman, which is considered to be our our deity, it's the Atman is the personal and impersonal form of the deity, which is the considered to be the underlying energy of every one of us. And so, as we often speak, the goal, if there is a goal of meditation, is allowing our awareness to be informed by this fundamental energy, so that that is what is influencing our awareness of the moment in meditation. In a moment to moment thing, it is in a moment to moment event. We are focusing our attention on that. And she talked about 5 sheaths, and the first one is the body, and then the mental, emotional. Those are maybe 2 different sheaths. And then there's a bliss sheath. And then beyond that bliss is the Atman. So that's it. We can feel you all expanding into that place beyond the bliss. So this is our meditation today, and we'll again use the energy center below the belly button as our focus, because it is our experience that for humanity, focusing on this grounding center just below the belly button and pulling the attention out of the head and down deep into the body brings us closer to God, rather than the idea that God is in the sky waiting for us in union. It's not like that. God is in us. And it is from fully inhabiting our lives that we bring God into this field. God is not somewhere else we need to go to. It's a field within us that requires clearing. So you see from the centered awareness below our belly button, it's possible to just expand into that Atman field beyond the field of bliss. But we're doing it from our energetic center. And if you need a place to hang your mind, Om is the syllable. And imagine that Om emanating from just below your belly button and informing your whole being. Still holding your attention in this lower chakra, begin to circulate the energy down the front and up the back with your breath. But continue to hold your attention low below your belly button so that your mind doesn't get excited and steal the energy of your meditation. All the way while feeling for the field of the Atman within you. And holding your attention in this field, gently, gently, begin to open your eyes, and we'll start our class for the day. How may we serve this morning? We're so happy to be with you. Yes, so happy to see you.
Yes, lovely, lovely to see you all this new year. I liked the
Yes.
meditation. That was nice. Yeah, just a simple, soothing practice. Um, um, I, I just wanted to mention that was lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome. You know, is it's so wonderful to sit with a person who's skilled at meditation
Mm,
in a completely different system and understand that, the energy is the same, the intention is the same, the uh union experience is not different. And that even union creates a duality, the idea that we're separate. And
mhm,
really, non-duality is there is no separation
mhm,
between us and divinity. That's what non-duality means,
mhm,
that it's here
mhm,
now in
mhm,
us, and our responsibility to clean the the field between our cluttered mental and emotional awareness and this amazing field of beyond the beyond that is available to us. And I love the idea that it's beyond the bliss field, because it's, we judge ourselves when we're not in bliss, and bliss is not the point. Bliss is the bliss, access to the bliss field is not the destination, but it's one of the it's a bonus, but it's not the destination. The
mhm,
destination is clarity, a
mhm,
clear field. And by clarity, it's easy to think that that's mental and emotional clarity. No,
mhm.
no, clarity means a field that doesn't have any blips of gray negativity in
Yeah,
our awareness. It's like there's
no way for the mind to get in there in another avenue or another, um, but
yes, that we're our field, at least for a moment, is free of undigested trash,
yeah,
for want of a better word,
yeah,
energetic trash, what we have yet to clear from ourselves.
yeah,
And the understanding is that's never going to disappear.
right.
But when we have these brief breaks in the clouds of our awareness, and we actually experience, they say 1 second of that experience changes our life forever. Because once we know it's there, we that becomes our life. The um the word that's coming to mind is addiction, but it's like the best addiction we could possibly have. It's the best use of that um desire field, is to desire to know God, to be God, to be in union with Atman, to have a clear awareness moment again.
Yeah,
And then those moments begin to get closer and closer together. And we stop judging ourselves for the moments we don't have that.
yes,
And instead, just reach more deeply into ourselves in hopes and
yeah.
with conviction
Hmm.
that it's possible to live from clear awareness.
Was lovely. Thank you. Simplified,
Mhm.
more direct. Um, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's so easy, Western religion, at least my experience of it, led me to believe that God was some male somewhere else pulling the puppet strings of what happened in my life. And, this patriarchal figure.
Yeah,
that there was no questioning, and the way things are had to do with what that patriarchal figure created
right.
that was immutable and indestructible and prison.
Yeah, you have to obey that and you want to rebel against it.
Exactly. And then we rebel until we discover that it's really all within us. There's nothing out there that we need to change. If we change in here, everything out there automatically changes for us.
Mhm. Yeah, that was very nice. Thank you.
You're totally welcome. Thank you. Everything that we say here has to do with the energies that are gathered here. And so, as your fields evolve, what we are able to share with you also evolves because you can understand it. Because really, what we're talking about is beyond language, it's the Atman field. Who knows what that is? It's clear awareness. But it seems really helpful to take the bliss field out of a destination. Largely so that we stop judging ourselves for not being in a bliss field. Because everybody dies. And that moment may not be blissful. It may be. It may very well be for everybody on this call, but it may not be. And so it's very important that we train ourselves not to judge our experience by whether or not we're blissful. And that we practice contact with that field of clear awareness regularly, so that it's really familiar to us. We we went to a funeral yesterday of a friend who died at 56 very suddenly. And his energy was so palpable in the field, and really has been, so available since he passed. And I didn't know him well. He was a close friend of Andrew's, but I met him enough times to recognize his energetic signature. And it was very, very instructive for me because he's a person who had a head injury and in many ways was not very communicative in the times that I met him. Um, but as I said, there was this energetic signature. and to experience that he was someone who really did his work very quietly his whole life. And, at some point lost some of his cognitive facility, but none of his desire to know God, and did it in all kinds of ways. And by the field of awareness that is now available through him, there's this obvious achievement that this person had of consciousness, conscious awareness. So it doesn't have anything to do with how smart we are or aren't. Nothing. A powerful intellect can be a powerful obstruction because we can get distracted by fulfilling that. How may we serve today? Yes.
So, my meditation practice is making very clear what you just said today about clearing the channel. I've become really aware of the mental activity, mostly mental emotional activity that wants to encroach into the space between the breaths, which is where the clarity is. It's simple, so simple. And my mental and emotional interference is complex and varied and so dealing with that, uh, what I've been able to do is just acknowledge it and return to the breathing and the attention in the chakras. And this seems to be going on for a really long time. I was hoping that I was hoping that it it would lessen and the channel would be more easily opened and remain open uh, during the meditation. And that I've had to accept that what is what is, and um, okay with that to a certain extent. But the metaphor is interesting. I had the cataract surgery done, and so my vision, while still a little strange because one eye is higher than the other, and so coordinating them is interesting. But I do see details and colors really amazingly sharply. And that allows me to see all the things that need attention. First thing was my face. I can't really do a whole lot about that, but but except that I'm much older looking than I thought I was. And that's okay. You know, I am 80. I just turned 80. And
Congratulations.
thank you. I look 80, and that's okay. Um, but my home, which is metaphorical, I'm taking it as a metaphor. It, I look everywhere and everything needs my attention. Everything needs cleaning out and dealing with. And I sort of feel that that's mirrors what's happening inside. However, as you said, every once in a while, it opens up and I feel free of all of that clutter, internal clutter. The external clutter still remains. But anyway, the internal clutter lets go. Um, and as you said, it is, I I wouldn't have used the word addictive because I've known addicts and it's not pretty. Um, but I also know what you're speaking of because it is before my practice was something I did because it was recommended and it seemed helpful. And now it's kind of like, oh yeah, I get to do this. And
Yes.
um and it is so much for me. In the moments in between, I can feel my whole life with, from childhood. It's so simple. And I know that it's going to be very helpful when I do die, in the process of dying. This is going to be extremely helpful. Um, And I'm aware that there's a lot of work to do before I really feel ready. Well, not ready, but you know what I mean. It's like, what? Ready to be there in it with clarity. Anyway, I just wanted to share that, uh, especially the metaphor about the internal and the external. Um, and thank you again for giving me hints as to how to proceed and not be self-critical, especially. Um, I'm a kind of person who wants to do everything right. I know that that's a big block. Um, it's not terrible to want to do things correctly, but the righteousness part of it is very obstructive. And it's lessening, thank goodness. Um, and um, anyway, so thank you so much for helping with this whole thing. I mean, I really feel as though um, I'm on a path and I have a way. So love you. I love you all, actually.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I just want to emphasize what you said about the self-judgment and how much that's shooting ourselves in the foot when we're trying to walk spiritually. That, and we all do it, it's part of our culture that, you know, in a capitalist society, everything is based on competition. And so we're taught to, we internalize that we're competing against ourselves for some idea of rightness, righteousness, and perfection. And, all we have to do is look around at the natural world to understand that perfection is not what we think it is. It's not winning the competition, any competition. Perfection is accepting what is in this moment. And that is very, very different from being right. Perfection is what is in every moment around us. And we are living in the midst of that perfection. Perfection is the balance and harmony that's achieved without any attention around us. If we look at nature, it's constantly balancing everything to keep the whole alive. Our bodies are doing the same thing. It's our minds that co-opt this absolute perfection already of balance and harmony. Our minds co-opt it and make it into whatever our desire is of the moment, whatever our judgment is in the moment, whatever our whatever is in the moment that's between our ears. And so if we can train ourselves to pull our attention down to the mind that actually controls our state, which, intuitively we know is our enteric brain, which is actually running the control system. Enteric just means intestines, but it's like our microbiome is probably it's a better control system than what happens between our ears. And until we access it, we don't have any idea what that statement means. But that sense of being grounded, feeling present and whole in the moment, balanced and in harmony in our body, that's what that center has to give us without anything but our attention. And it doesn't carry any of the profound disabilities that our mind and emotions bring with, that the awareness of our mind and emotions bring to the forefront. So if we can have them just be babbling off in the distance while we are occupied with balance and harmony within ourselves, and we understand that to be non important, but just there, then we can have a different experience. How may we serve further this morning? I actually find Om to be a very simple way to keep pulling ourselves back to our meditation. Also, the concept of allowing ourselves to clear the field, allowing that field to be clear, not giving our attention over to whatever particular flavor passes across our mind or emotions in a moment. And understanding that what activates those things what activates our desires has more to do with what's happening in the sky than it does to do with our highest best interests. This is probably the only value of knowing astrology, is understanding that our motivations get activated by forces beyond our control. And that when we understand that, then we just tie every motivation to our true addiction to knowing God. You know, for most people, our mind and emotions are the addictions that run our awareness. Yes.
Well, it feels like these last full moons have been kind of heavy hitters for me.
Yeah. Heavy hitters for the world.
Yeah.
Well, you know, what I can say, and I'm sure I've said this before, astrology really helps in that understanding that the astrological period that we're going through right now is the absolute same as our country went through during the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
And if you've noticed, we're having taxation without representation. We're having slavery in a certain sense of the word. We're having all these recurrent themes of our country that have yet to be evolved. You know, patriarchy, the patriarchy running everything. You know, we thought we were done with that.
It's been
We
kind of rough.
Well, we thought we were done with all of these issues, but they
Mhm.
are like boils, infections that went under this underground. And now they are festering and coming to the surface so that we can recognize them and deal with them. This is what evolution looks like. It looks like devolution, but it's actually, if you don't see it, you can't change it. And so, all our infections and warts and undealt with polarities are coming to the surface for us to rise up and say, this is not how we're going to be. This is not how we're going to do it. But that's required systemically. How we participate in that is by holding to the highest. Because in grounding in that highest vibration into the field of awareness of earth consciousness, we are holding our ground for the highest. We will not devolve into chaos. No matter how much of it is around us, we will hold a coherent field of divine energy to keep it available on this earth. That's our job. And how we act from that depends on how much energy we have in a given moment. It's like that. And as we age, that's a big variable. But we do what we can. And when we can't, we make sure we hold to our field always, regardless of what we're doing or not doing. We don't judge ourselves because we have less energy as we age. That's not necessarily a deficit. It just means we have to move a little slower, which makes us a little more conscious because we have more time before we can mobilize our reaction. So that's a
That
gift.
makes it obvious.
Yes. Yeah, it becomes a gift, and
Mm.
we start to master the the art of seeing everything that happens around us as a gift.
Mm.
Because unless we cultivate that, unless we allow that change to always be reinterpreted to something positive for us, we are not turning into delusional people. We're becoming more real because we're adapting to an environment that serves our addiction to the highest. I'm using the word addiction consciously because addiction is an uncontrollable desire. And we really want our bhakti yoga practice, our devotion to love itself, to be an addiction.
Yeah, yeah.
And addiction is, something that makes us compelled to behave a certain way. So let's choose that as our compulsion. Our compulsion to always be in the highest alignment that is available to a human being, to this version of human being, whatever that is. And we aspire to hold to that. And we understand that chaos and perfection are part of the same thing, and randomness and evolution are part of the same thing. And so there is no ideal place in the spectrum that we can strive to and know that we have accomplished, that's a delusion. And so there's no ending point. Just like there's, I mean, most of us have some beginning point where we decided we had to know God. Like that became really important to us. But when we arrive there is, not, we don't know. And that's okay. Because that's the truth. That's the truth of being human. And so there's something about total acceptance and total alignment that when we are in total acceptance of what is, then what isn't just falls away. Because we recognize it as delusion.
Thank you so much for that clarity. Once again, really helps, and it feels really true.
Yeah, this is the important thing, that truth is a visceral experience.
Mm-hmm.
Once we understand that,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
that's our guide.
Yeah. To get carried off in these, I mean, it is insanity that's going on, but just to remember the higher purpose in all of this is, and for us to be seeing that, and I don't know, it's just, thank you. It just really helps. Love this group. Thank you.
We're so lucky.
We are. It's just so good. It's so beautifully heartwarming and delicious, and I'm just grateful. Thank you.
Same. Oh, you're so welcome. The participation is, and so needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just personally, I've been so mentalized lately. It's it's so nice to just let go of it all.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. But it's interesting too to acknowledge that humanity has been here before, and that things are different this time around. We're not in the Stone Age. And the potential for AI to make our lives easier, and AI can do so many things that our healthcare could really change if it's used in a positive way. Because understanding things like genetics and the microbiome, there's so many moving parts that AI could do it, can do it. And so our understanding of what creates health in a human being could change radically in the next, in actually a very short time. If these energies are used to serve humanity rather than subjugate for a few.
That seems like a big if.
Except what's the benefit? When the potential is for everyone to live well, what's the benefit for a few people to have everything and everybody else to have nothing? I mean, it's a kind of a very weird equation. And how much is enough? You-
Yeah, the insatiable greed is definitely taken a front role.
Well, it has, except if you look at the groundswell, the groundswell is so vocal. And, there are those in the media who are publicizing it. So, it's not done till a fat lady sings.
And I think this revolution will be publicized, or whatever that expression was.
Well, the groundswell against he who will not be named this morning is is so powerful. And we all understand that the warlike, the attempt to start World War III to stop the Epstein files from becoming public is becoming publicly noticeable is so obvious that, you know, hopefully the people who have some power can make a change. We'll see. But the whole thing could be blown to smithereens in, a matter of days. This could happen. Because there are a number of people with the opportunity to be very, very destructive on a global way, that are really empowered at this moment. So we can acknowledge that. And our prayer does not change. May all beings be free is not different because of circumstances. That's our prayer. We will not pray to save the earth. We'll pray for all beings to be free. Because that's the true prayer. We don't know the field we're in, except that the most powerful thing is the field of awareness. So we align ourselves with that. We ask that all beings be free in that field of awareness. And we don't know what that means. But we know that asking for anything finite is attaching ourselves to delusion. Because the only thing real is the infinite, and we don't even know what that is. We just know that that's real, and that it's all beyond language. And so we connect to that possibility, that creative infinity within us.
Well, then it's going to be a good year then, isn't it?
It will be the year it is. and and no matter what happens, we'll be entertained by it.
That's a good way to put it. It's going to take everything we no. No, thank you.
Well, the truth is, it always takes everything we have.
Yeah, seems so.
And we give our best to it. we give our absolute best to it and to those we love.
Mhm.
And we fill every moment with as much love as we can get our being around. And, that feels like success.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
It's been a lovely discussion this morning. Very uplifting. We needed.
Well,
This
there's only one way to go that makes any sense.
Yeah, true. We all know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, let's hook our desire to what's real.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Thank you.
Mm, Thank you. Okay, that feels like we should go back into meditation for a few minutes and, set ourselves again. Thank you all so much. Mm, So, so beyond words to be with you, really. Thank you so much for being here today. It's been completely wonderful and joyous to be with you in a time that could easily be the opposite. So grateful to share this. So much love to you all. Till next time. Bye for now.